Well, Apple's Siri, that's the thing on the iPhone 4S that you can talk to and it talks back to you. It's gaining some traction, kind of. Anyway, Jessica Vascellaro is going to explain the kind of to us, because it's kind of, I'm right on it. From what you've written, they're kind of catching on.
It is. I mean, I think there's some new research out today that shows about 87% of people who have the new iPhone that has Siri have used it at least once a month, which actually struck me as a pretty large percentage for sort of a new and feature people aren't used to. But they're using it basically for calling and texting. And they are using a lot of the other capabilities it has, like scheduling messages, scheduling meetings, which take a few more steps.
But once a month, Jessica, that's not very much. That's not regular use.
It's, well, the research firm is sort of classified as that. But I mean, that's true. It's not regular use. If you think of having the phone in your pocket or your hands all day long. There were some, so I think about around a third, so between 30 or 40 percentage of people used it for phone calls and text messages every day or almost every day. So there is a big chunk that is using it much more frequently, but then there are a lot of functions that, again, people aren't really using either. So it's pretty split.
Jessica, did the report talk about where they use it? Because it seems like the most obvious use case would be in a car where hands-free is actually at a premium and you might not feel so ridiculous shouting at your phone to go fetch you a message or call somebody.
Or on the streets of Manhattan where you wouldn't feel ridiculous at all.
People staring at you. You know, it didn't get into that, but it touched on it a few ways. I mean, the report assembled some sort of anecdotal comments and reactions from people who loved it and people who didn't. And frequently you heard sort of background noise being a problem and people feeling like they needed a very quiet space like a car to use it. The report also asked if the sort of Siri-like voice activation feature would be something about something you'd want on a television. And of course there's a lot of speculation that a whole range of consumer electronics companies are going to be building new TVs with this sort of stuff baked in, and only a little more than a third said that that's something they would definitely want. I think around 37%, which was also interesting, and I think gets back to the sort of where you are point. I mean, even though it might be easier than using a remote, at the same time you've got your friends sitting around you or background noise, so you know, it might not be the best way or the most comfortable way to search at that point.
Okay, now in your story, in your blog post, it says that many other Siri services are getting little pickup. 32 and 35% of 4S users respectively said they had never used Siri to perform the actions of playing music or scheduling meetings. That is, in French, très pauvre, right? Very poor.
I think so. I mean, I also think
that's what it means, yeah.
You know, this is early technology. It's been on the market since the end of last year. I actually didn't know until I read this survey you could use Siri to play music, and have been doing it tried it yesterday, and it actually works pretty well. I've tried scheduling meetings. There are a few more steps, so that's a little harder. But I think if you notice, I've seen some new ads Apple's put out for Siri, which sort of shows people on television using it in different ways. Clearly there's an education campaign they know they have to do and are doing, and you know, overall I think people do like the feature. Parks Associates asked on a scale from 1 to 7 sort of how satisfied you were, and 55% were a 6 or 7, and about another 21% were a 5, and all the way down. So you know, people are enjoying it, but it still has a long way to go.
A long way to go. Well, thank you very much, Jessica Vascellaro. We really appreciate you being with us out there in San Francisco.